Julie Corman remembers the first time she observed her future husband on the set of one of his films.
At the end of the first shot, the cameraman and the sound man were talking, and, you know, how was it for you, and this and that, and the assistant director was listening and so on. And Roger had said, cut, print, the next shot is over here, and walk to where the next shot was. Meanwhile, the key crew members are back here discussing the previous shot. And he stood there and he pivoted, almost like a dancer. And he walked back 15 paces and said, "Gentlemen, I said the next shot is over here." And they all went, you know, right with him.
Roger.
Francis.
Okay, I talked to Elijah, Aaron.
Francis Dole is now Corman's head of development.
Roger likes a movie to be about something. Meaning, he likes it to literally have a meaning. Not just, oh, this would be fun to do a monster movie, but what kind of monster movie? And if you like, what does the monster symbolize? What is this monster really about? So he would constantly challenge, whether it's me or a writer, that way, to dig a little deeper.
This industry owes Corman. I mean, it's true he didn't pay us anything, but, you know, we really weren't worth much.
In 1970, Roger Corman left American International Pictures to form his own production and distribution company. After founding New World Pictures, Corman eased out of directing to concentrate on running an independent film company.
We're really gonna knock him out so he doesn't move during the tape.
I think that's fine. I'm in total agreement.
When I started New World, it was difficult for me to move from the filmmaker to the executive filmmaker or just executive. I had to sort of set up rules for myself, which were specifically that I very seldom went to the set. Because in the first picture we made, where there was another director and I went to the set as the producer, people from the crew came to me to ask me questions, and I immediately stepped back because I felt they should be asking those questions to the director. So from then on, I've made a point of doing my work primarily in pre-production and in post-production, and only going occasionally to the set.
With Corman no longer directing, he had to replace himself at the helm of his features. But experienced Hollywood directors weren't used to working under tight budget and time constrictions. So Corman hired promising talent looking for that first big break.
Irv Kershner was the first as a director, then Francis Coppola, Peter Bogdanovich, and then it went on to Marty Scorcese, Jonathan Demme, Ron Howard, Jim Cameron, Joe Dante.
Don't do it! Get out of there! Come on, Maggie.
Joe Dante, who has directed big-budget studio films like Gremlins and Inner Space, started his filmmaking career as an editor at New World. But the real training began when Corman tapped him to direct a $600,000 Jaws spoof called Piranha.
One of the things working for Roger is that you learned to function under great adversity, like this dog that's barking now. You know, in a Roger Corman movie, you just find a cutaway of a dog somewhere and you'd stick it in so you could use the sound. The great thing was that you would have to get your picture made. You know, you'd have to do it in some manner. You had 10 days. Whatever you had in 10 days, that was what Roger was going to release. So, you know, it was incumbent on you to make it as the best 10 days you could.
Jim Wynorski is a more recent graduate of what has often been called RCU, Roger Corman University. With films like Chopping Mall and Sorceress to his credit, he's still devoted to the art of low-budget filmmaking.
Earl?
He taught me everything I know about directing in 3 hours. You know, people go to school for years and years and years to learn directing, and he said, come on, I want to take you to lunch. Bring your notepad.
I am a great believer in preparation, particularly on a low-budget picture. You don't have a great deal of time on the set if you're a director. So therefore, if you prepare your shots in advance, and you can always change them a little bit, and as a matter of fact, you almost always do change them a little bit on the set, you come in ready to work and utilize your 15 days or 20 days shooting, not thinking, what am I going to shoot?
Sarah.
Hi, Roger.
How did the shoot for Desaad come out yesterday?
Oh, I think it went really terrifically well.
Corman has long offered women opportunities in a male-dominated business. Top sci-fi producer Gale Anne Hurd was fresh out of Stanford when Corman hired her as his assistant.
With Roger, even back in the late 70s when I started with him, he did not believe that there was any difference between the skills that men and women brought to the table. In fact, I think he actually preferred working with women because he thought that we worked harder and were less egotistical.
Well, no, I can't because I have a meeting with my DP in the morning.
An intern in the story department, Victoria Muspratt got the chance of a lifetime when Corman let her direct a script she had written called Circuit Breaker.
I guess men very often look at women and wonder if they can do it. And Roger doesn't look at women and wonder if you can do it. He assumes that you can. And he inspires you because it makes you have more faith in yourself because he has such faith in you.
For the first art, film, action, and horror, right skating that surface, but it's working.
That's great. You could even go 1 or 2 more points towards art films. It's
You bet.
Okay.
That's what we want to do, sir.
Today, Roger Corman's filmmaking machine is alive and thriving in Venice, California. His current company, Concord New Horizons, produces about 30 films a year.
The real success of Concord New Horizons has been Roger's ability to run the company and to come at it from so many different directions. And I think it's one of the few places filmmakers come to and know that filmmakers are running the company.
So they're uncapped.
Yeah, well,
Star Wars star Mark Hamill recently appeared in Corman's low-budget feature Watchers 4 when he got an offer he couldn't refuse.
You want to get more involved as time goes on, and Roger played to that. He said he wanted me to do this movie, and I could be a co-producer, I could be involved in the casting process, I could do so many of the things that were baby steps towards doing what I really want to do, which is get behind the camera. So to get behind the camera, I get back in front of the camera again.
Now, at this point, okay, I'll take 2 for 1. That's when the outsider comes forward.
John Buechler once headed the special effects makeup division at Corman's company, but left to establish himself as an independent filmmaker. He recently returned to the Corman camp, directing and creating the monster for Watchers 4.
Roger Corman's place in filmmaking history is going to be a milestone. How he was able to get incredible performance with sometimes very minimalist camera movement, special effects, he delivered the impact. He is a filmmaker who knows how to make film. He understands story. He understands acting. He's a smart man.
I think that he's sort of like a maverick in a way, the last of the independents. And that's wonderful. I mean, these last few years we've seen the focus go back to independent films. It seems like he's had it right all along.
Roger gave me the fun of childhood in the movies. All the movies that I saw as a child that I liked the most were Roger Corman movies.
I think one of the great things about working for Roger is if you can do it for Roger, you can do it anywhere.
And he'll always be making pictures. I mean, as long as he's able, I think there'll always be Roger Corman pictures, which I think is great.
Today, many Roger Corman films appear first on video or cable, although they often open in theaters overseas. And while some critics have called his films exploitation, audiences see them simply as entertainment. Corman's contributions to the industry were recently acknowledged with a Career Achievement Award from the Los Angeles Film Critics Association.
What keeps this game interesting to me after all these years is the fact that there is always a new challenge. If I were manufacturing soap, I would have retired long ago. But here, it's a different bar of soap every time. It's a new challenge. It's something new creatively. And although I've done it a long time, there is still an element of excitement on every film.
After 40 years, Roger Corman remains a leading figure in independent filmmaking, a master of fantasy.
Tales of terror, tales of death, tales of spine-tingling survival. From the world-famous master of mystery and the macabre, enjoy an evening of Edgar Allan Poe. Sci Fi Channel next.